Hello and welcome. It's time to hear what's on my mind on this episode of the Trisha's 2 Cents Podcast. I'm your host, Trisha. Have you ever heard the expression, read the room? It literally means to be aware of what is going on with the people you're speaking to. I had an incident that happened to me about a week or so ago that has really changed the way I'm going to respond when someone asks me about the well-being of a family member. I mean, it could be my child, my mother, my husband. But going forth, I'm going to change the way I answer people. We as a people, black, white, Indian, Russian, Asian, it doesn't matter. We as a people cannot say whatever is on our mind when talking to people, especially when we are genuinely concerned and want to give comfort about whatever that person may be dealing with. A person asked me how a family member of mine was doing, and I gave them a sincere, detailed answer. And they responded in such an inconsiderate way that I will really think about what kind of answer I will give a person the next time that question is presented to me. Some people will get a very generic answer without a lot of details because I was so dumbfounded by the response I received. Plain and simple, I was hurt. I'm sure you're wondering what I'm referring to, and I will try to explain it without giving away the person's identity, because that is not why I'm talking about it. I'm not here to expose anyone. I'm here to talk about what is on my mind. I say it every time I open up the podcast, and I'm here to give my 2 cents as I do every week. And as I shared before, I've beaten breast cancer. I'm a proud breast cancer survivor. And it wasn't easy what I went through. I had a double mastectomy, and the recovery from that was very, very hard. And I still have side effects from that. But I haven't shared yet, and it's not a secret, but my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer in January of this year. And she has beat it as well, but she's currently going through radiation. The person alluded to the fact that it is our fault that we have cancer by our diet, by what we eat or what we have eaten. Now, I have no issues with a person suggesting that certain foods may cause cancer or other diseases, and that they may choose a certain lifestyle. I have no problems with that whatsoever. That's your opinion. That's your right. And I believe in science. I really do. And if you choose a certain lifestyle or you choose to eat a certain way, I'm okay with that. I even had people send me things while I was going through my breast cancer diagnosis, and I just threw it to the side because at the time that's not what I wanted to hear, because at that time I was focused on healing. I focus on other things after I'm healed about maybe what I can do better. But so my problem isn't with a person suggesting that, certain foods may cause cancer. I have no problem with that. My problem is when it is said. There is a time and a place for everything. And I think everybody can agree to that. You don't just blurt everything out if it's not the appropriate time. It is not okay to suggest to a person who has had cancer, and while a family member is still beating cancer, that it is their fault that they have cancer. And I hope that makes sense to you all. And I'm going to say it again. It is not okay to suggest to a person who has had cancer, and while a family member of theirs is still beating cancer, that it is their fault that they have cancer. It is like blaming the person who got hit by a drunk driver who is, say, recovering in the hospital, and telling them that it's their fault they were driving on the road at the same time as the drunk driver. It doesn't make sense, does it? No, not at all. But as with everything, I will get over this experience, but I will also learn from it. I will learn what not to do when I am the one asking the questions to someone and asking them, how is your, say, mother? How is your child? How's your husband? And I'm also going to learn how to deal with those asking the questions to me who may have good intentions but are not very considerate. Everyone is entitled to their own opinions. You know, I speak my opinions every week, but I do not try to hurt anyone in doing so. There's a way to say how you feel and own up to your own opinions without hurting another human being's feelings. When you read the room, you understand when and when not to bring up certain topics. You know with wisdom that maybe that's not a good time to bring up that maybe they shouldn't eat that right now. There's a time and a place for everything. We can't say everything that comes to our mind in a moment, but it also takes wisdom. And the Bible says if we don't have wisdom, we are to ask for it. Ecclesiastes 3, the end of the 7th verse says, a time to be silent and a time to speak. And this is me speaking. You should never send a person away feeling worse than when they entered your presence. I should never come into your presence and you feeling worse than when you encountered my presence. You should leave feeling, I'm glad I seen Trisha today. She made my day. It should never be, I wish I never seen her, because she made me feel worse than when I was feeling this morning. The late great poet Maya Angelou said, and I quote, I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Unquote. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Trisha's 2 Cents Podcast. Join me on the next episode as I give life lessons through my experience, my growth, and always from my heart. You can email me at trishas2cents@yahoo.com and make sure you subscribe on your favorite listening platform.